Eminem is a much more than just a successful artist, successful rapper. And last night I watched a reel on YouTube, and there was a journalist um, doing some documentary on him, and they went to his house where he grew up in, and he still had, the blonde dyed hair and the two earrings, the real Slim Shady, that era. And then they went to the house, and he knocked at the door. So there was obviously somebody else living there. Somebody probably bought the house. Um, and it reminded me of the David Lynch, the final season, where Laura is going back to her house that she grew up in, but it wasn't, but it was, but there was somebody else living there, and it's not her parents. So that to me was bizarre already. And whoever lived in the house didn't let them in, even though Eminem was, really famous already. If you're coming with a reporter and a camera crew, um, you're a pretty big deal. If they're making a documentary, okay, they didn't let them in, which is a bummer. I would have loved to seen the inside of the house. So she denied, or he. And then Eminem asked, well, can we go in the backyard and take a look? And they could do that. So they went into the backyard, and he opened the gate, and just, by how he's doing it and how he's walking in the yard, you can see, yeah, he knows how to open the gate. It's his gate. It's his house, but it's not anymore. You see what I'm saying? And I know the feeling. Like, this used to be your home, but it's not anymore, right? It's not. It's fake. It's not real. The same David Lynch vibe. And then he's walking through the snow, and how he's walking, and this oversized jacket he's wearing. I just know the feeling. And he's such a cool dude. He's such a friendly, open being, and he's trying to explain to the reporter how it used to be. There was the garage, there was like a little thing for birds, but it was always empty. And that's so, it carries so much weight. Like, it's he remembers the thing for the birds, like a bird feed where you feed birds, but it was always empty. You see, that in a nutshell is really just, it's shaking the universe. We know what that means. You know, there was there was something that was supposed to be filled to feed birds, but nobody was filling it. It was always empty. That's so symbolic. There's supposed to be a home and a loving mother, but there was no love. There was no mother. There was supposed to be a loving home and a father, but the father was never there. You see? So, because he grew up with a single mom, and no father, and a psycho mom, he became the person who he was, and he became the famous artist that he is because of that. And it's a broken home, you see. It's fucked up. And that's why the bird feed was always empty, because nobody was giving a fuck. Nobody was giving a shit. Nobody was taking responsibility. You know, how you do anything is how you do everything. If the bird feed is not filled, if that's always empty, everything else is always empty too. You see? I've done my learning curve, you see? I've done my 30 years of therapy and coaching and learning, introspection. I can't even count how many coaches and therapists and personal development courses I did. It's just too many to count. I know. I know that I know, you see? So with these tiny little things, you can basically analyze the whole thing. If that's always empty, everything else is always empty. If that's not taken care of, everything else is not taken care of either, you know? If that's broken, everything's broken. You see what I'm saying? Because people who take responsibility, they take responsibility of everything. Yeah. That's just the definition of taking responsibility. So then the next question was from the reporter, was your family happy? And then he added, relatively speaking. And then Eminem paused, and that pause was heavy. And then, you know, he moved his head a little bit, and then he said, it was all right. It was all right, you see? So that's a very adult response, because all things considered, things could be worse. You know, living in Detroit in a neighborhood like this, you know, I don't know, close to 8 Mile or whatever, 7 Mile, 8 Mile, it's a fucked up area. So compared to how everybody else was living, it was all right. But we know it was fucked. But you don't really say that to a reporter in a documentary about you. You see what I'm saying? But if you listen to his music, you know it wasn't all right. It was not all right at all. There was nothing all right about that home, about that mom, about that childhood, about the father not being there. And this is what resonated with us, with me, with whoever really, digs his music. And it's not few, it's actually a lot of people. So it's such a specific type of music and type of lyrics. It would not resonate with you if you haven't experienced similar things. It just doesn't click. And in most cases, it doesn't. You maybe like the music, but you don't understand. You don't understand Eminem. I do. And it's good you don't understand, because you didn't grow up fucked up like him, you see? That's why you don't understand. And And it cuts back to today, and the house is gone. I think it burned partly, and then it got demolitioned. And somebody tried to make a museum, but she was too late. It already somebody broke in and lit it on fire. So it partly burned down, and then they had to take it down. She couldn't do the museum, which would have been great. So now the house is gone, and people still go there. It's like a pilgrimage. So people go there, visit the place where the house used to be. But there's not even the house. There's not even the house left. But people still go there to remember, you know. They want to know. They want to know the place where it happened, where he came from. Isn't that interesting? And they put down some, I don't know, candles and flowers and shit, stuff like that. So, a different reporter asked him in Today, like the grown-up Marshall Mathers, what does he think? What's his opinion about people coming here, you know, seeing this as a pilgrimage, a journey, and then they put stuff there like flowers and candles and stuff. And then he says, it's cool, it's all right, but it's not that big of a deal. Also a very grown-up answer. Love that. So he's not taking himself that seriously. He's not putting himself on a pedestal. That's what people are already doing, you see. So he's smart enough to not fall into the trap of the famous superstar people put on a pedestal. He's stepping down. He said, fuck the pedestal. You can still do that, but I'm not getting involved. So he really broke the cycle. He's not a victim of his fame. He's doing it right. He's taking responsibility. I bet if he has a bird feed in his backyard, it's always full. Wanna bet? You think you understand Eminem? You don't. I do. I think I'm the only Eminem fan that fully understands who he is. And that's why I understand why his music is so great. You kind of feel that the Eminem fans feel the music is great, but I understand why it's great. My mother made jokes about me being a garbage man as a profession when I was a kid. And it really got to me because she was keep making these jokes, and it really did something to my confidence. It's like severe damage. And then the Slim Shady single comes out, and he's taking the trash out. What? So you can see on the cover, he's wearing a skirt, like an employee flipping burgers or something, and he's having in each hand a big like a trash can, like a garbage bag, a garbage bag and a carton. So he's taking the trash out for his boss. He's an employee doing the dirty work, taking the trash out. That's his job. That's Slim Shady on the cover. um, of the single. And when I saw that, it was like speaking to me like, what the fuck? Like how much of a coincidence is that supposed to be then? I mean, did his mother make jokes about him too being a garbage man taking the trash out? Whose fucking idea was that? Like, how much synchronicity can there be? You see what I'm saying? I don't think you fully understand. Like, this is beyond just nuts. This is oh, that's a coincidence. Is it? Really? Well, if it's a coincidence, what are the odds? Like, calculate the fucking odds that my mom makes jokes about me being a garbage man in Germany and he's in Detroit, and then appears on the single on the cover with a skirt and a garbage bag and a garbage carton taking the trash out. Get the fuck out of here. What are the odds? Like, what's going on? Like, am I in a David Lynch movie here? What the fuck is this? I don't get it. What's the point here? Well, the point is, if Eminem says it's not a big deal, I understand his point of view, but it's actually a big deal. There's so much more to it than him being a successful rapper, making a lot of money, selling a lot of records. You see what I'm saying? Having a lot of fame. There's much, much more to it. It was a whole, I mean, it was the soundtrack of my life back then. You see what I'm saying? That there was nothing in the year 2000, there was nothing that even came close to being this interesting, intense, resonating. The Slim Shady LP, the Marshall Mathers LP, you know, him being on Dr. Dre 2001, you know, the list goes on and on. It was the best era of hip hop. 2000 was peak in every aspect. There wasn't anything better before or after. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying this lightly. These are the facts. That's history. This is 26 years ago. Objectively, this is what's going on. This is objectively what happened. You can analyze all the records and all the albums. There's nothing more interesting and more authentic and more intense than that music. The Marshall Mathers LP is peak hip hop rap, as good as it gets. And why is it so good? Well, because it's real. Because he's rapping from the heart about his psycho mom, about his father not being there, about his psycho girlfriend. You see, it's real, it's honest, and it's authentic. And it's a big deal. If it resonates with the entire world, it becomes a big deal. You know, I started rapping because of him. I included rap music in my diploma and master thesis. And I never rapped before in my fucking life. And they had to give me the best grade. 1.0 in Germany is 100%. With rap music, I never did, never tried. If you can influence people this much with your craft, with your medium, with your expression, it's a big deal. Like Eminem, if you can see this, you probably don't realize how much of a big deal this is. And it's not about the money and the fame or the metrics or how many records you sold. That's not what it's about. It's so much, 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 much more. You understand? It's a voice. You said what nobody else dared to say. You spoke from the heart like nobody else spoke from the heart. You told the truth like nobody else told the truth publicly. You struck a chord because of that. You showed what was going on behind the facade. And you spoke about it honestly. Behind the facade, it's not I. When the reporter said, "Were you happy, relatively speaking?" he said, "Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. It was all right." It wasn't. And we know what was going on. Behind the facade, nothing was all right. When you listen to the music, there's nothing all right. There's nothing what was going on inside of the house all right. And we know. You see? And this is why it resonated so much. In the outside, everything's fine, normal, but it isn't in the inside, you see? And this is the typical society, you know? I don't want to say middle class, but because it's everywhere. It's in every class. The society functions because of a facade. Everybody's pretending everything is all right. But really it isn't. If you look behind the facade, it's fucked up. You see what I'm saying? And he was the first to say it like this, keeping it real like this. And you think, MINIMAN, this is just personal. This is just your individual point of view. Fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. This is 100% accurate. I know I'm right. I know this is the truth. And I can prove it. I can prove it any day, all day, every day. Well, conveniently, there's just enough proof arriving today. So Lindsay Clancy murdered, strangled her 3 children. Like that's not terrible enough. Women, white privileged women, are standing in solidarity to support her killing 3 children, her own children. What? You see, that's the proof. That's the proof what's going on in society. That's the proof what's going on behind the facade. And it's not just crazy psycho I don't want to say mothers, because if you kill your own children, you're not a mother. But these psycho bitches need to be institutionalized. But that's not like the bad point. The bad point is that society itself should be institutionalized. At this point, I think it's practically safe to say, like, everybody needs to be institutionalized, because if women like gather in droves, like there's a movement of women who support Lindsay Clancy murdering her, strangling her 3 children. I mean, wow. You know the real definition of MAGA. It stands for Make Asylums Great Again. That's the real MAGA. Make asylums great again. We need them. We need to bring asylums back. And I know you don't get it, but honestly, what do you get? Right? Not really anything. So, your opinion doesn't really matter anyway. If you don't get it, you are so out of touch with reality that we're not having, like with me, you're not gonna have a conversation or a discussion about if it's okay or not as a mother to kill and strangle your 3 children. Oh, God. Like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. I'm MINIMAN. Grow out, trying.